Hello folks, here today to speak about the month of April. As usual, if you prefer to read about the overall trends this month, please see my website for more details. I've posted the monthly forecast there as well. Yeah, so let's get into this. Okay, so what is happening in April? Well, there's a lot happening in April. I'm sure that those who are following the astrology forecasts realize that this is a big month. April will be a power month, in fact, packed with a lot of landscape shifts that will set the tone for the coming years. All of the slow-moving planets are making a change, a shift to a different sign, including Jupiter, Saturn, as well as the nodal axis. So we start the month with a new moon on April the 1st. And the new moon is taking place in Pisces in the nakshatra of Revati in approximately 17 degrees. Now, this new moon phase is also strongly impacted by a debilitated Mercury, who will also be close by in Pisces at this time. It is also aspected by a strong Saturn from Capricorn. And furthermore, it is still contained within that, the Gal-Sarp Yoga. The Gal-Sarp Yoga is still in effect at this time. So we need to see Jupiter and Mercury's position to understand the impact of this. Jupiter because it rules Pisces, and Mercury is the controlling planet of Revati, where the new moon is taking place. So we know that communications are going to be impacted. And when it comes to a debilitated Mercury, it's not as simple as miscommunication or delays as we experience with a retrograde Mercury. With a debilitated Mercury, you will just get things wrong. Others will just get things wrong. It's more to do with that. Now Jupiter at this time, the ruling planet of the new moon, is still in Aquarius, and it's at the very end. It's on its way out, and Venus is also close by. So, because that Jupiter is in Purva Bhadra, it's actually a very good time to start a new routine or habit around that new moon. Yeah, like just right after the new moon. But because of that Mercury's position, I would say be wary of signing contracts right now and agreements, because you may just gloss over the details. You may miss the details. Wait till April the 8th when Mercury moves into Aries. And also by then, the Gal-Sarp Yoga would have been broken too, yeah. We also have that approaching conjunction with Mars and Saturn at this time. Now, technically, Mars and Saturn have been in the same sign for a while now, and therefore regarded as conjunct. But the exact conjunction happens on April the 5th. Mars-Saturn conjunctions are a time to be cautious, and this is affecting you depending on where Capricorn falls in your chart. Yeah, they can bring accidents and disputes and mishaps. Repressed anger can also come to the surface. It'll just be sort of a tense climate at this time. And I would say be watchful of those days around April 2nd till 6th, around that period. Yeah, and of course, due to the recent world events, this can also produce a lot of fear at this time. It can lead to health issues due to stress, so it's a good time to keep things light in that first week of April. Aries, Scorpio, Capricorn, and Aquarius will be most impacted by this conjunction. Now, Venus has finally moved on, and it's in Aquarius, approaching a conjunction with Jupiter, which is good news. In D9, that Venus has landed in the Libra Navamsha, which is also good news. So this is a much better transit for Taurus and Libra. And for everyone, all relationship matters should improve now. But, of course, Venus is still in Saturn sign till April the 27th. So there will still be that serious, serious heavy tone. Yeah, perhaps affecting relationship. On April the 7th, Mars moves into Aquarius and away from Saturn. And on the same day, the moon will break the Kalsar Yoga. So, for the first week, I would say, if you can, possibly keep your schedule light. On April 8th, Mercury will move into Aries. And at this time, Mercury activities can get a boost. Writing, networking, marketing, planning, strategizing. Also a good time to spend with friends. Plans that were put on hold could start to move again at this time also, at a very rapid pace. On April the 12th, we see the first big shift of April. Rahu and Ketu change the nodal axis from Taurus and Scorpio to Aries and Libra. Of course, I've made a separate video on this, so I will link that below. Here, Rahu will function in a very assertive, a very bold manner, and this could cause some, this could bring some restlessness to take action at this point. Again, see where Aries falls in your chart to understand where you will feel that. I would say it's best to wait till Saturn moves into Aquarius, because at this juncture, the nodes are making a square with Saturn, right at that very end of Aries and Libra, because Saturn is at that very end of Capricorn at the moment. So wait till, in fact, if you can wait till May, after the May eclipse, to make decisions, that's the best time. On April the 13th, the following day, Jupiter moves into Pisces. This is good news for all water signs, because it's an excellent position for Jupiter. Starting its journey in Pisces, it reaches its exaltation position of Cancer in the D9. And I have done a separate video on this also, and we'll link that below. Now, at around the same time, we have a once-in-a-lifetime planetary alignment. This is the conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune, happening on April 13th, also at 29 degrees of Aquarius, in the nakshatra of Purvabhadra. Yeah. Now, because it's the same day, you could see it in Pisces or Aquarius. And frankly speaking, a lot of Pisces, a lot of water themes will come to the surface because of this conjunction. In Purvabhadra, at that very end there, we see a bridge between the material and spiritual world, right? So we can collectively feel that there is perhaps like a spiritual awakening about to happen. A sort of like a sense of where people feel a oneness with others and feel that everyone is connected, in fact. It's an ending of an old way of thinking, and it can also lead to a rise in spiritual archetypes at this time. There may be also a rejection of conventional religion, as people may seek a faith system that is beyond the traditional. Now we can also see some healing take place after that disturbing Mars-Saturn conjunction that brought destruction in the world. The war in Europe, and of course the fear of a world war. At this time, during these few days, when this conjunction is becoming exact, so I would say starting even early April, pay attention to your dreams. You can get many psychic insights at this time, even the ability to foresee future events in your life. Also see where Aquarius and Pisces fall in your chart. So for example, if you have something at the very, very end of an air sign or early of a water sign, a planet sitting there in those areas, you will feel this even more so. And where it occurs or where it influences, what planet it's influencing in your chart, you can feel very idealistic in that area of life. And you can also bring some healing to that place. This conjunction can actually bring a very inspirational vibration. So it's a great time to tap into this energy through a spiritual practice if you have one at this time. Follow your intuition at this time, as you will arrive at the answers very quickly, because the ability to connect with those subtle realms is very high at this time. Now, because Neptune also signifies escapism, the one thing to watch for is turning to substances at this time, like drugs and alcohol, to cope with any issues in your life, any stress in your life. Yeah. With respect to world events, we also may see some floods occurring at this time. Jupiter-Neptune conjunction opens the door to a new reality if you can tap into it in a positive way. As I said, it's a kind of an awakening energy, a collective awakening energy on the deepest level. So it's a very good time to strengthen your connection to the divine, whatever that means to you. And of course for healing, to bring some healing into your life. Well, we're going to feel the effect of the conjunction all year, but it's always most potent before and after. A few weeks before and a few weeks after. Then what's happening? Well, again, very close to that, on the next day, in the early morning hours of April 14th, the Sun moves into Aries, its exaltation position, a place it is usually very comfortable to give excellent results. However, this year, the Sun will be approaching a conjunction with Rahu. Sun represents your life path, your identity, your purpose. So now is actually a good time to question whether you're on the right path. And if not, make changes that allow you to align yourself with your life purpose, whatever that may be, or whatever that you want to do in your life. What happens with Rahu and Sun, it can of course increase one's energy and drive. But it can also bring some self-deception and an overinflated false sense of confidence. Yeah. This is especially the case if you're a man. I think that Sun Rahu works in that way with men more than women. It is, however, nonetheless a good transit for Leos, so you will be feeling very upbeat and energetic and confident at this time. In the early evening hours of April 16th, we have a full moon in approximately 3 degrees of Libra in the nakshatra of Chitra. Now, this full moon is aspected by Saturn, once again. And we also have Mercury's aspect here, again. The full moon is also caught in the nodal axis, but the nodes are far enough not to cause an eclipse at this time. Venus, the ruling planet of Libra, is in Aquarius, and Mars, the controlling planet of Chitra, is also in Aquarius. But they are no longer in war, as we've seen for the past several weeks. So again, relationships will feature highly now. It's a good time for networking, it's a good time for connecting with friends, it's a good time generally to connect with others and socialize. And you can also experience some what you call like chance encounters now that may prove to be useful for you later down the line. Chitra is a nakshatra where you can show your creativity, and it gets associated with that celestial architect. So it's a good time to spend time, it's a good time to spend more time with your hobbies, or even to make your surroundings more appealing in whatever way, perhaps decorating. It's also a good time for spiritual practices at this time. In fact, you could get flashes of inspiration now as that moon gets influenced by the nodal axis where Ketu is sitting. On April 24th, the Kala Yoga gets broken for the final time by Mercury moving into Taurus. So we won't have that on and off energy every 2 weeks. Before moving on, Mercury makes an exact conjunction with Rahu at the end of Aries. This can bring some flashes of insight. Perhaps a solution to an ongoing problem or an issue will finally appear. And this could be something that may have troubled you since late December of last year. That can be resolved now. On April 27th, Venus finally moves far away from Mars and reaches its exaltation sign of Pisces, where it joins Jupiter. Venus here performs with awareness, and it can uplift the area of your chart where Pisces falls. If you have experienced disappointments in relationships, you may be questioning your ideals at this time, with Jupiter so close by, also in Pisces. If you were ending a relationship, then you can do so with amicable feelings. Or you could also forgive and surrender at this time more freely as well. Yeah. Now, this month continues to deliver another major shift. That is Saturn's movement into its Multrikon sign of Aquarius. Saturn will briefly move into Aquarius from April the 29th, 2022 until July 12th, 2022. Saturn will go back into Aquarius on January the 17th, 2023, and remain there until March 29th, 2025. This is an excellent transit for Saturn. The environment of Aquarius is nourishing for Saturn because here Saturn feels at home and its roots are strong. For this reason, it's called the Multrikon house of Saturn. Simply because Aquarius most closely matches the nature of the planet Saturn, more so than Capricorn. From here, Saturn will aspect Aries, Leo, and Scorpio. At the same time, Jupiter will also aspect Scorpio. So whatever Scorpio signifies in your chart will become very prominent, at least for this year, until spring 2023, when Jupiter leaves. It's also a time of deep transformation for Aries and Leo too, because Rahu will be transiting Aries and aspecting Leo at this time also. I've made a separate video on Saturn's transit, and I'm going to upload it in the next few days. Now, finally in April, we have the first eclipse of the year. The eclipse takes place in Aries in the nakshatra of Bharani. I think it's quite appropriate to have an eclipse in the middle of Aries at that 15, 16 degree point at the very start of spring. So it's a very, very strong period to plant some new seeds at this time. This happens on April the 30th, hours after Saturn makes a move to Aquarius. And I've made a separate video on this also, so you can listen to that and learn more about it. Wherever Aries and Aquarius rather, fall in your chart, you will experience new beginnings. Yeah. The dramatic shifts will come to a culmination next month with the final lunar eclipse in Scorpio coming up. So stay tuned for more changes. Overall, it's a very powerful month because lots of changes are happening all at once within days. So keep your schedule light if you can for those, especially those mid-April days. All the very best to everyone. Cheers. Take care.